Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon, Mr. Ramjad.
First of all, I know today is Friday. I don't think we will go too long. It's very short. First, I would like to say congratulations to all of you for being on this Customs Officer 1 program. I'm certain that you will learn a lot from this course. Today, we will look at the basic introduction to risk management. So most of the information is on the slide, which I will basically explain, and you will have the slide to read. And if you need any clarification with regards to not being cleared on any topic or any notes, feel free to contact me on extension 4900 so I could provide those clarification at any point of time if you need any assistance and so forth. Once again, congrats to all of you. So let's begin with risk management. So before we talk about risk management, let's look at the first word, risk. Risk in the chance of an event occurring which may have a negative impact on the compliance to customs mandate. This is basically, we're saying what is risk towards our customs mandate. But in a nutshell, what we're trying to explain here, a meaning for risk, and we all know what risk could be. There's a risk for you to be sitting there. You never know what could happen. The uncertainty of something should happen, or the probability of something happen as at the point where you're sitting right now. So we all could, have our own meaning what risk might be, and we should have a clear understanding what is risk. And you could also do your own read up with regards to have your own definition, help as to what a risk is about, because this is one of the questions. As we go ahead, I'll give you my hints as well with regards to your question. So risk management is very easy. So this is one of the question, and it's very straightforward. And as I said, when I am marking questions, I also score you. It doesn't mean that you have to quote my exact words. In your own understanding and explanation, if you could do so, you will score the same marks.
Thank you for that, sir.
You're welcome, sir. So we have a little more notes here. This is for your read up. Uncertainty associated with a future outcome or an event. Uncertainty which may affect the GRA mission to promote voluntary compliance. This is regards to customs administration. Some characteristics of a risk, a probability or a threat. Damages, external, meaning the source, and some of the characteristics is basically, I try to put it here in points form. The probability, the damage, what could happen, external, and also perception, all right, and how you have risk, how you review risk, how you solve it, and so forth. With regards to risk, this is the part that you need to know. This is also a hint towards the questions. Let's say this here might come in a tricky form. But basically, if you know the components of risk, you don't have to know all three. At least if you know one of the component of risk, it says probability. This is the chance that a loss will occur, as I explained earlier about what is a risk. Consequence, this refers to the magnitude of the loss. So the magnitude of the loss may be either small, medium, or large, but with this regards is the magnitude of the loss. Perception, the significance of the loss as it relates to the basic organizational objectives. This diagram is actually showing the types of trade-related risk. Risk for custom administration, they're all linked together. In some ways, they're related. Risk for citizens, that's the nations, risk for the supply chain. As I said, this is the basic risk management, right? It's not in depth. So there is no need to go in depth. And we just try to make it as simple because this is the Officer 1 course. You don't have to go much in detail. They just need to know the basic. This is our some notes with related risk. Risk for customs administration. This include internal risk. And we have compliance risk. Internal risk, some example of internal risk for the organization may refer to the lack of staff competence, the skills, what is required to do the job. Ineffective procedure, not having a clear and SOPs in place and so forth. Lack of coordination with other agencies. Let's say for export, we always have the export officer at the various sections will tell you that, sometimes with coordination with agency make the work very easier. And at the end of the day, you could rest at ease. You don't have to worry that a proper examination or a proper scanning did not take place. So that's why you need coordination among agency. You have early information from, let's say, forestry or other area, upfront information, so you could do your profiling and so forth upfront. Limited human resource and material. Well, for every organization, they say human resource is one of the best assets for an organization. So we all here are a good asset of GRE. So, and then lack of IT failure. Most times, I know we have issues of the system down, the internet down, but back in the days, it was worse. Presently, IT is doing a good job. They would have improved tremendously, and I would appraise them of what they're doing. They're working very hard, because I could tell you sometimes some of the locations will say that the system is down, IT is down, but no, generally, I know one time the DC, Mr. Lowe, would have asked me, Mr. Ramjag, kindly cross-check the other areas if the same problem is there. When I intervene into the matter, a particular area, internet is down, and then blame the system that GRE Executor is down. So we have to be very careful. So my point is that IT failure could be one of the problem here as well. Okay, so effective IT will be a very good tool here. Compliance risk, integrity, tax filing. These are all compliance risk. Lack of proper reporting, collusions, reputational issues, risk for citizens at large. This would include counterfeiting, pirated goods, contaminated food and substandard pharmaceuticals. These are, risk as well. And I would advise you at sometimes, especially if you go into the pharmacy, always look. It might take some time and so on. Before you cash your product, always check for your expiry date. It's very important things to do is to check expiry date, especially pharmaceutical product and so forth. I mean, like clothing and footwear is okay. You can't force people, because I may buy a $5,000 footwear while you buy a $25,000. Nothing wrong with that. But where it comes to consumable product, I would advise everyone and most of my colleagues and friends that pay attention to expiry date, okay? And especially pick up a product and you notice there is no labeling with regards to our standard, which is English required. You pick up a product and it does not have English writing that you could read and understand, please, this is from buying or support those illegal products. Let's look at what is risk management. According to the revised Cato Convention, risk management is defined as a systematic application of management procedures and practices which provide customs with the necessary information to address movements of consignment that present a risk. So this is another hint here for you, So you could read that line and you could score 5 marks if you know this. It's very simple. All is it explaining about risk management with regards to the customs administration. You may want to know why we not examine 100 container per day or per shipment. It's because of risk management, right? Our profiling systems and criteria and so forth. Risk management is also a systematic way of fighting non-compliant behavior with the purpose of letting customers, taxpayer, consignees voluntarily fulfill their legal obligation. An example that this will soon spin off is the AU, economic operators. These are persons who will have the trusted trader status, where that we have checked all of your shipment, we have valuation check, post clearance audit, and all these things have been completed on your shipment, one after the other, for 6 months, for a year, 3 years, and we do not find any infractions. So of such, you can apply to the Commissioner General for the status, and with good risk management, as long we do not find any infraction, you could gain that status. Some more notes on risk management is a methodology. So I have a problem here. I cannot see that line, but you could read what is there. But it's facilitate legitimate trade while using your resources and intervention to ensure compliance with laws and regulatory requirements. So with risk management, it helps to facilitate legitimate trade. Apart from that, it also helps you to identify the high risk consignment. So while paying attention to the low risk consignment and cargo, you're paying more attention to the high risk, and your hit rates will be higher. There is some notes at the bottom as well. Therefore, 100% examination is not viable. 8 years back, 10 years back, can you believe this? Each declaration that was in the system, it was mandatory for each declaration to have examination. It may sound that I'm not speaking the truth, but if you ask one of the older officer, they will tell you, yes, that was so done. I mean, for export, it requires 100% and scanning maybe, but that's it. That's the criteria for export declaration. But could you believe this? How this could be possible at this age of modernization, where we have so much of trade and so much of importation now. Back in the days, you wouldn't have so many importation and importers and so forth. It would have been impossible for examine all of those declaration of cargo on a daily basis. So with risk management, this would have eliminated, right? And I will explain in my next slides. These are some things that used to happen back in the days. As I said, 100% used to be for everything with the exception of diplomatic cargo and a few. Imagine declaration for the ministries and so forth. I mean, now you still have a few, but it basically depends on the type of items and the hit and so forth. Requires inspection, maybe fuel and so forth, and those kind of area. We'll have some criteria that will put some ministry of declaration for inspection. I won't say it's stopped, but as I said, based on the type of item has been imported and been declared. A lengthy clearance time, meaning it took sometimes weeks to clear a container or a barrel and boxes. With regards to complex procedure, so much of running around to clear a container and boxes, this is back in the days. Lack of performance indicators. There were more manual system rather than computerized system, whereas a receipt would have to be written one by one and so forth. A lot of documentary review, meaning most of the declarations, in fact, all of the declarations used to go to the entry processing unit. Those days they were called the EPU, where a declaration that is free would have to go through the documentary review, that's the CRPU section. Whether if it's free, whether it's high risk, then all the declaration used to go to documents review. So what happens at that time? The percentage of review was very high because everything has to pass through the evaluation section. Continue. Limited risk management or no risk management during those days. Audits was very minimal, but not so vibrant as our post-audit unit now. Limited use of technology, meaning we didn't have so much of software now. Example of software that we have now, we have partner app and so forth now that could help you so greatly. Just at your palm of your hand, you could touch and know certain things. You could check tax rate, you could check your status at 2 clicks. So those are some things now that would have enhanced risk management. How does risk management help you? Risk management helps to identify and address important risk and helps to make decisions about how to handle such risk. It helps to monitor the progress and managing the risk while providing a means to constantly improve the way we deal with them. So basically, identifying the risk is not the end of it. We also have to keep reviewing, looking for new emerging risk as well. Okay. Benefits of the risk management: better allocation of resources than to have 100 staff or 50 staff assigned to do declaration. No, we could utilize only 5 staff at a wharf to do examination, and we could utilize those staff to other areas of look, maybe at post-clearance audit or at the last end that we always refer to post-clearance audit or enforcement inspection and those kind of areas. So better allocation of resources, as I mentioned, one, staff, that's human resources. More transparency. The system is much transparent. This is where, when I mean much more transparent, is the system who does this profiling, not me or you or the controller or the CG. Is the system here work by itself. It's a built-in system that's work automatically. When a declaration is submitted, it captures certain criteria has been hit, and a profile or a decision would be made at the time of payment. At the time of the payment now, then you will have different enforcement checks where it will say that, this declaration for some would go for inspection, this declaration, the next declaration for some go for valuation, but you cannot track one importation or declaration before you paid. You never know what is the decision until you pay. That is the system, how it's built with transparency. Better accuracy in risk selectivity, improved trade efficiency and facilitation. Quickly, you could put in a broker could submit a declaration at 11:55, and in the next 5 minutes, he could go and pay at the cashier and go down to the wharf and uplift or the airport. He just have to make a call and have his representative take release. So quick. Improve decision making with the process. And one good thing about risk management, it's allow all of us to work smarter, not harder. So right here, we have another test question. Remember, this might be for 2 marks, but it might add up. So one benefit or a few benefits of risk management. The easy one there is always remember, with risk management, it helps you to work smarter, not harder. A simple example to that is that we have, let's say an importer got 6 containers. The risk management here could allow to inspect 1 at random. These are how the system works to facilitate trade. You don't need to examine all 6 to have a hit, and sometimes non-examination at all. But guess what? Route that declaration to post-clearance audit to see whether the values were played with and so forth. So always remember, one good benefits of risk management is not to work hard, smarter. This is the cycle of the risk management, a cycle of the risk management, how it works. Data, to establish the data, assessing the risk, addressing the risk, monitoring. As I said, we don't have to go in depth of those, but if you could find notes and or if you need any information on that, is fine. This is basically a diagram to show you establish the context, risk assessed, monitor, and reviewing those risks that falls within. identify the risk and analyze the risk, evaluate the risk, address the risk, monitor and report the risk. It's basically a diagram to carefully and to put clarification as to the context. Here I have some notes on those context with regards to establish the context. It says about the process of determining if a risk exists, if there is risk. Assessing the risk include three components: identification, analyze, and evaluate. As I always say, not finding or knowing the risk is the end of it. You have to analyze the risk, evaluate the risk as well, okay? Treatment of risk, this speaks to these are strategies used to prevent the risk from occurring. So this is where we work to see how we could treat it to avoid such issues for not reoccur. Monitor and review. Although we knew it, that, as I said, it's not the end. The risk management will, from time to time, will review such decision, such criteria, and so forth. Identifying the risk. Risks can only be analyzed or managed after they are identified and described in an understandable way. Some questions that may be asked, which is include the source, why and how, detect and prevent risk, research is needed, reliable information is needed, okay? Indicators. Here again, another test hints for those who have in your pen there. Please make a note. Hints again for your tests. So these are areas that I will give you to specially focus on than to read through 36 slides. I'll give you, just put a tick or highlight the slides. Just put test questions, test areas. Indicators. Indicators are, we are talking about the risk indicators, right? Not motor vehicle indicators. Risk indicators are signs that may show the presence of a risk to customs. They point to potential problems or areas of interest. 2 marks. Some example or list of indicators are: it is possible to list the indicators from a given piece of information. Some of the indicators, as I tell you, as an investigating officer, that what we use in risk management are some of these terms that we use to get information from: manifest, declaration, invoices, BL. Who, what, when, where, and how, why. So we have a little scenario here where a quantity of alcohol, what? Alcohol is found in a shipment, and I can't see this one of the line there, but it actually say what, and then this second one, I think. Can someone read the first 3 line, please?
Quantity of alcohol is found concealed inside a double wall crate, which was imported by community service volunteer.
Thank you very much. Excellent. So in that, you will see those indicators, risk indicators, are what that will refer to the alcohol, how it was concealed. Then we have which was imported from a community service volunteer. Who imported this thing? A low risk person, a community service volunteer. A community service volunteer compared to a person who's selling weed, you have a high risk person and you have a low risk person. So much attention would not be focused on a investigator or somebody who been doing risk profiling. You will not pay attention much to a community service volunteer, low risk person. But in this scenario, who is a low risk person? On March, when? On March, along with used clothing sent from USA. Where the goods was coming from? USA. In this case, the Y factor will be determined upon further inquiry, but leads to the assumption that a financial gain was the motive. What was the motive of this volunteer? This volunteer was looking at an avenue. If he or her imports some stuff, in their name and they are well known, it could pass through freely. So some of the indicators here, you see, would allow you to identify where the goods coming from and so forth. So these are some of the indicators we use in the risk management unit. With regards to your work as an officer, right? I see all of you as an officer. I don't think any one of you would fail. It's one of the hardest course. Some people say the Officer 2 program is the hardest, but I think it's the one. The one is hardest because it's a lot of work. You got to know everything. It's not so in depth, but because the magnitude of reading you have to do and have the understanding and know it, it's a sacrifice and it's a commitment. And I know all of you will make it. I see some of the faces earlier. I know you guys are bright, and I don't expect anyone to fail. Okay, so as an officer, while some risk indicators you will know, which are experience, is the commodity. Commodity here, for those who is not actually au fait with the declarations, BL, invoices, and other supporting documents for a declaration, you can know by the commodity, It will say, let's say for an export, normally this person's export maybe, let's say noodles, maybe, let's say chow mein or macaroni. Now, for some strange reason, this person always shipped this item, but you now see a declaration of this person now shipping soap powder. It tells you strange, this person do not manufacture soap powder. Why would this person want to send soap powder to British Virgin Islands? It tells you as an officer, it's not something normal that you would expect to send foam, because we have most imported soap powder. We have, I can recall, we have one local soap powder, let's say foam, I think, branded. I mean, yes, it's good marketing strategy to sell to British Virgin Island, but as an officer, you have to be very smart. The type of commodity in this consignment tells you that this is not normal. Let me pay some attention here. That is where you might change your profile status from examination to both examination and scanning, because what you cannot pick up during examination, you will so rely on the scanning process to determine whether there is any illicit drugs or any other stuff concealed between soap powder. All right, so that was when I say commodity. Most of you would know what I'm talking about. Method of concealment, you go to examine a container, you notice, the regular size of a container a vehicle could drive in, but suddenly when you go into this container, it's much smaller. You look for false wall. At the time of examining goods, I could tell you one experience one time at the airport. I saw this girl was just kind of, struggle with her handpiece, not too big, regular handpiece that most of the girl will carry on the shoulder. But this particular girl cannot stand up so easily in a good position, have to change position and change arms most often. So it was kind of strange behavior. So I noticed one time she rests the bag that she have on her shoulder on the ground, pick it up back, shoulder, ground. So it tells me that it's much more heavy. It is heavy. So she came up to the counter with one piece, one suitcase and her handpiece and a small piece in the what you call carry-on. So I noticed I said no, she might not be a trader. Well, let me check her passport. So she's not well known as any profession, as a normal passenger, so for determine any passport. She asked me if I want to examine the suitcase. I said no, but I will if I do have any other observation. I would like to have a look of the handpiece. So she was nervous when I said the handpiece. She said, okay, why? Something wrong? I said, no, I just, the handpiece is fine. I just want to take a look at the handpiece and you could go ahead. And she determined to ask if something wrong. She have personal stuff inside. I said, excuse me, I need to see what is in the handpiece. All to know, in the handpiece, as soon as I opened the handpiece, there was this cookie scan, this Dinesh cookie type of can, and it was there. And she had some other personal stuff which she tried to take out all those stuff but she's not taking out the cookie tin. So I say, I would like to, why you not taking out that? When she take out the cookie scan and I collected, or when she rested there, it was heavy. It was so heavy that I know that something is wrong because the other item cannot make up the weight of the bag. I asked her to open the cookie can. When she opened the cookie can, they were all watches. And they were all high-end watches, like those days were Citizen watches and so forth. So that now would have lead, that would have lead to, to identify a high-risk passenger. So that is an example. As an officer, you have to be not only rely on documents, but you have to be very smart. You have to use your eyes. You have to be very vigilant. You have to do observation, do profiling. When the passengers them, is there waiting on the baggage, start do your profile. Try not to make eye contact. And when you notice something is really strange and you really need to carry out a check, then you could start utilize eye contact and so forth to see their response, see if they want to move from your lane, try to hide from you and so forth. You have different techniques in doing your profiling and so forth. So again, you have to be careful with the type of concealment type of item to defeat, to stray an officer from detecting what is being smuggling and so forth. Sources and suppliers, I don't want to go into depth of much, but these are, I guess everyone would know these stuff.
Excuse me, Mr. Ramjal.
Sure.
I have a question. Can I ask it now or should I wait until the presentation is complete?
Yeah, I don't want to keep back the class too late because it's Friday. Can you make a note? And as soon as I wrapped up, we're gonna do the questions. And
sure.
If I can't answer at that point, if the time, I will surely get back to you. Okay.
Okay, no problem. Thank you.
All right. Quickly, the source. That's the supplier. If you know that this company is an electronic company that would normally supply people, or you see most people buying from this company and they're supplying electronic stuff. Suddenly, if you see a strange item is coming from that supplier, it's a risk indicators. Okay. And you can know overnight, let's say a food item is coming from that. You see somebody is declaring let's say beverage from this company, water. Right away, that's a risk indicator. Okay. This company, for years, you've been seeing this company has been shipping electronics to different person in this country, and most of the imports, especially out of Panama or Miami. Then suddenly you see this supply is shipping beverages. Something is not right here. Probably a false declaration. Probably could be mix of documents. Means of transport by carrier. There was one time there are certain flights always have excess cargo. One shipping line always have short. You after time you will know all these indicators. This certain vessel, when it comes, it always comes with excess goods or short goods. These are all risk indicators we can look. Manifest details. By looking at the advanced manifest is something that's really help you. In the other lecture courses, classes, you will get more details into this. But the advanced manifest allows you as an officer to read and to pick up high risk goods, to say that, what, I see somebody is here is shipping cigarette. But that same person, you might see Dave Enterprise bringing 3 skids of cigarette. But then while doing your work, you see Dave Enterprise come to clear 3 pallets or 3 skids of used clothing. Then you said, what? I saw on the manifest, it was manifested as cigarette. How this thing changed now? So these are some of the good reasons why you always utilize the manifest or the advanced manifest to do your profiling. So you have information earlier before the goods arrived. Importer, exporter aspects. These are basically importer's history. Let's say, Dave consignment always have extra. So what happened? The importer becomes high risk. We have some broker always make mistakes, always in some problem. These are some risk indicators that when you see consignment or declaration for these importers and brokers, you have to pay extra and special attention. You may even require to peruse those documents more than the others. So you see again, risk indicators are something that you will learn and develop over a period of time by importers' history, name, reputation, and so forth. Then you would also realize that some are more into court matters and so forth. Distribution mechanism, basically the way how the goods being distributed, sourcing. To make indicators meaningful, they must be examined by quality and quantity according to the relevance of the measure of the indicators. All right, by quantity, the more indicated they are, the greater is the certainty of internal consistency and conformity. The more indicators you got, is you most likely will make a big cases. Sometimes the small one, allows you to pay more attention, where you eventually will detect more indicators. So don't have what one time said, this one indicator, maybe it's just no. If you find one, you can find two, and maybe if you find two indicators, you can find three. Never give up. Various forms of indicators. Indicators can be a sign that show possible invalidity or of a transaction. Any signs, abnormality, or inconsistency in information. The physical appearance of a person, item, creating reasonable suspicion. This is what one of the examples that I would have used earlier with regards to your personal profiling of passengers, importers, and so people coming to clear and so on. That is why you see sometimes we have the officer in charge in an area where we have a tinted glass, where he could see those taxpayers or those persons coming to clear. Is that the officer in charge is also doing his profiling. He's conducting internal, trying to figure out. He will know who are the high risk, low risk, and so forth, and then he will call the officers and must pay particular attention to that importer, check the item, what he's bringing. Let me see the documents. He will call more, those documents may require more scrutinized properly to check classification and all these things, right? There's a lot of risk indicator here, some other risk indicators that you can read for your information. It also helps benefits of a good profile. Narrow the field of interest. Try to allow the better selection of examination of goods and people. Help identify potentially high-risk targets, people, cargo, vessel. Identifying emergent trends, that is new trends and risk. Assist in facilitation by reducing unwarranted delays. Allow large volumes of transaction to be assessed against risk indicators. These are some more notes to read. Analyzing is when consideration is given. How likely is an event going to happen? What are the potential consequences and their magnitude? Test question, test hints, sorry. Analyzing is when consideration is given of how likely is an event to happen and what are the potential consequences and their magnitude. With regards to, as we say, risk, the consequences is high, medium, and low. This is a diagram to help you to have an insight. What I refers to likelihood is the how it will happen, high, medium, and low. The expert will know how to use this diagram, but that's how this is something more we work with. The likelihood, the impact, what is the consequence, what is the chance that something will happen. This is how we rate it, and we score by points and so forth. We use color coding. Sometimes we do use numbers. This is more for the expert. This is also the steps entails comparing the assessed risk against the predetermined significance. This is where we explain the level of risk and the result. High, highly likely to cause a serious damage and must involve head of the organization. This is where the risk is high. Let's say on the wharf, you realize something, that there is some, let's say, false declaration. You quickly inform the supervisor. let's say most cases, this would with regards, this will be like finding drugs and those things, guns and ammunition and so forth. You quickly inform your supervisor. The supervisor will have to inform the managers. Manager will inform the AC. The AC will inform the DC. There is a chain of command. I would always encourage you as an officer, always remember this step into your process, into your job. When you become an officer, always remember to follow the chain of command. All right, follow the chain of command. You will always be out of problem. All right, always report to your senior. I mean, as an officer, you're required to make on-the-spot decision, because sometimes you're being performing duties or acting on behalf of the controller, and it requires your good judgment and making decision on the spot sometimes. So you'll have to be very firm. You have to know your laws. You have to know your regulations, and that's a proper officer, right? That is when you're conducting your job. So always follow the chain of command. In doing so, you will be out of trouble. Identifying certain problems, or let's say little scenarios like this, skipping your supervisor and go to the manager, not informing your supervisor, that simply could show that you didn't follow the chain of command, and you could be reprimanded by your supervisor, by the manager, by the controller for not following the chain of command. And that report or that complaint or whatever reporting could go back straight back to you to follow. So to avoid those embarrassment and to be very professional, always try to follow the chain of command. Okay. So level of risk, we have 50 minutes more. Level of risk, high, medium, and low. Medium, likely to cause some damage, but not so much. It doesn't involve that, like up to middle management. Low, unlikely to cause any damage and should be managed through standard operating system, standard SOPs, and the matters being solved. With regards to addressing the risks, we talk about risk treatment. These are the basics should know. Risk treatment. Test hints again here. So far, we reached 5 questions, right? That's probably the third or fourth. Risk treatment refers to the decision or action taken in response to identify the risk. So simple. There are 4 steps or generic types of types of responses that can be applied. These are called the 4 T's: tolerate, treat, transfer, or terminate. 2 marks. Very simple. These are some additional reading, but as I said in the previous slide, that is where you focus on. These are for your information with regards to some write-up on tolerating risk. It's when the risk is not immediately treated, but does not mean that the risk would not be controlled or monitored. Treating the risk, this means reducing the likelihood or consequence of the risk occurring by putting control measures in place. Transferring the risk, meaning shifting the risk to a third party. Example, you send the investigation to law enforcement, that is lead, or you send to CANU, meaning let's say you held up some drugs or something. I mean, you have your part to do, but what you do, you inform the agency, or the manager would inform the agency or the supervisor. You hand over the drugs to CANU, and CANU would take actions and so forth. With regards to terminating the risk, termination means avoiding any risk by deciding to discontinue activity that may cause the risk to be realized. Applying risk management in customs. 2 marks. Test hints. Please take note. The goal of custom administration regarding risk management is to target those customs transaction declarations that are most likely non-compliant and direct resource towards those targets. GRA, Customs, Trade and Excise Operation, applies treatment of risk through the cargo selectivity-based customs control. This is done through ASYCUDA. What this paragraph is telling you, this is where we pay most of our attention to, is selectivity of cargo based on the declarations. So with regards to to selectivity, I'm referring to what should be going to document review, what is going to, as I said, document review. We all should know by the other lecture, documents review is what they, when you're going at a secure into the system, the color, yellow will tell you is documents review, red will tell you inspection. Inspection mean going for verify, 100%, and so forth. That's inspection. I think blue, yes, tells you that after clearing of the goods, it is routed for post-clearance audit. That's after clearance, it belongs to post-clearance audit. Okay, green, it tells you no intervention, release. Okay. Monitoring and review should include all aspects of the risk management process, include the performance of the risk management system, the changes that might affect it, and whether the original risk remains static. Just for some notes. To monitor and review the key components of the phase of risk management is a cycle as follows: proper completion of the inspection act. This is very, very important for each one of you. At the time that you were given as a declaration is being assigned to you for inspection, those who are conducting those functions now will know that there is something called the Inspection Act that you will have to go in and update as an officer, as an examining officer. In the Inspection Act, you will have to say exactly what you do. And I would always encourage my officers that you put exactly what you do, because guess what? If you try to put flowery words into the Inspection Act, when enforcement hold that consignment on the road and it have extra goods or anything else, you're in big trouble. Always put exactly what you do in the Inspection Act. You would have, this declaration has been assigned to you for inspection, but it doesn't tell you any range of percentage of examination. It didn't say 100%, it didn't say 50, but let's say it say verify. What did you verify? Say exactly what did you verify. If you verify malt beverages, you put malt beverages. And just watching malt beverages, no, that would not tell you. You have to at least take out one unit or a bottle or a can. You will have to check the content to ensure that that product does not have no alcohol percentages inside. You have to check for expiry date. You have to check the country of origin. And as an officer, why do you check the country of origin on the product? Anyone, please?
To verify where it came from, if it came from a high-risk destination or not.
Excellent. Very good. Keep it up. So that is one of the aspects. You have to verify the country of origin to see if it came from a high-risk country. And as well, more to that, is to ensure that most of the time they wanted to use CARICOM treatment. They might want to use trade agreement to say the duties be knocked off because of trade agreement. It is duty free because of CARICOM urgent. You as an officer pick up that product to see if it's qualified. If not, immediately seize, detain, do your detention, you seize your notice, and you present to the person, and you take the container back to the wharf or right here, or you have your SOPs that you follow, depends where you're operating from, or you take the container to the GRA warehouse at Eccles for safekeeping. So, these are all that I always say as an officer. Proper reporting in the Inspection Act make you a good officer, and it save you from being embarrassed, it save you from problem. You can't say that you examine 100% and you did not check the container from back to front, but you write that up to show the inspection actor, to tell the auditors that 100% was done, or to send a report to Mr. Biku, 100% examination to the controller, sorry, that, and we did 100% for the week. But guess what? We know that you cannot, we will know even the time that you start and the time that it finished, we will know if 100% could have facilitated or been done during that time. And in some cases, we knew, and then, you try to put, I don't know for what reason, you're going to put in the Inspection Act, you do 100% and you didn't do it. And then enforcement hold the container on the road or at the premises and found extra goods and found other items in the goods, found undeclared goods. So as an officer, please always remember what I'm telling you. Always update the Inspection Act in Executor, what you do. It's not only to save yourself, but to help risk management, getting the right information so we could do further profiling and continuous profiling and reporting on importers and so forth. Adequate completion of the risk management performance report. That is what we do here. Quickly. All right. These are some questions you could look at, but don't work so hard on them. These are not that will be coming. I already give you the hints of what is coming, and I have give you hints of 5 questions. Know that 5 questions. These here is just to let you have an understanding what you would have just read. Okay. With that said, so I would like to, before anyone go, I know it's we already finished here. I think so. Yes. Best wishes to the entire class for the exams ahead. Stay focused, stay positive, and give it your best shot. Success will follow. And these are, I'm very happy for all of you. It took me a while to get on this Customer Officer 1 program. So I'm very happy. I know how happy you are to be on this Customer Officer 1 program. Give it your best shot. Before I end, I would like to have, I think Shivani have a question. As I say, if I cannot answer this forum, my extension is 4900. You could give me your extension, and if I cannot answer a question now, I will do so on a later date. Go ahead, any questions? If not so,
Mr. Ramjak, excuse me. In the interest of time, I'll reach out to you on 4900 and ask you my question.
Excellent, excellent. Is this Shivani?
Yes.
Oh, excellent, Shivani. We're not too far away. And anyone else need any clarification from me, feel free to contact me on extension 4900, and I would surely assist. All the best wishes, and stay focused. You guys will make it. Any other question?
Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Ramjak.
You're welcome, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Welcome. Ms. Noons, I think we could bring the session to an end, and thank you
Yes,
for your
Mr.
time.
Ramjak.
Thank you for your time and patience and your hard work.
Yeah, we'll close off here. Good afternoon, everyone. Do enjoy your weekend.
Thank you.
Good afternoon,
you.
you too.
Yeah,
Thank you.